What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And oh my God, Bitcoin will not stop pumping. Absolutely insane. Now, if you guys saw my market update from yesterday, I think the thumbnail was 31K incoming. You will know that we were looking at a very key level, holding support, looking like we wanted to make that move up for our next target, which was the value area high of our local range, which was coming in at around $31,000. Now, and we actually wound up getting that move off of almost an exact level we were talking about in that video. We got that move up to that $31,000 level. However, now we are starting to see some signs of a cool off on some of the medium hourly time frames as well as the daily. So in this video, I kind of want to look at this move to the upside, kind of where we stalled out, and then where I think price is headed in the future. Are we going to continue ripping up even higher, or is it time to get a little bit of a cool off before getting that next leg up? We're going to be taking a look at all the key levels, and again, that one bearish thing that makes me think we could get a little bit of a pullback, so we'll be checking in on that as well. But before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of these urgent market updates or awesome tutorials that we upload to the channel. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the charts. I want to talk about these key levels. I want to talk about that bearish signal, and then kind of where I'm leaning as far as if we're going to get another move up or another move down first. Let's get into it. So guys, here we are on the Bitcoin chart. Now we're looking at the 2-hour time frame, and you can see this was our key level we were looking at yesterday, which was that previous point of control coming in at about $30,000. Now looking at these levels, guys, this is a volume profile range here with our value area low at the bottom, POC in the middle, and our value area high up top. And this is exactly how I was able to call that move to the upside to about $31,000 almost perfectly in yesterday's market update. Now, I wish I could sit here and be like, no, guys, I'm a wizard. I know everything. But I don't. I'm using these volume profiles, and this is how I'm able to call these moves. And the reason I say that is so you can use these tools to find the exact moves I'm looking at if I'm not there to call it out to you. So you guys can see that value area high. We kind of just bing-bonged around on this level just a little bit. But as I was talking about in that market update, as long as we were able to stay above this level, I would expect another move to the upside. And then we even took it a step deeper on the lower time frames, looking at this local volume profile range and saying basically this value area high at about 30,316 would be that level we needed to flip to support to actually get that move to the upside. And guys, you can't make this up. We hit our head a couple times. I think this is where we were right about here, hitting our head during that market update. We broke out, we tapped it as support, and then we touched it to the dollar before that absolute moonshot to the upside. And where did it bring us, guys? It brought us almost exactly to $31,000. Now, we did not come up and actually hit our technical value area high. However, sometimes you just never get to that actual technical level. Sometimes price just front runs you and you start to come down. Now, this was a key level. Technically, this was the actual level, that previous value area high at 31.2, but 31K was really that psychological level we were targeting, expecting that cool off, and you can see we are starting to come down here a bit. And you can also see here, just looking at the 24-minute, that we actually do have money flow starting to curve to the downside. You can even come down to the 15-minute. You can see money flow is curving out on the 15, and that 12-minute is also coming out, kind of peaking up at the end here. But generally, money flow is starting to look like it wants to flow to the downside on these lower time frames. And the reason why that would kind of make me anticipate a potential move to the downside is because if you come to that 4-hour time frame, we are now printing a bearish divergence on the 4-hour with our momentum waves making a lower high and our price action making a higher high into this key level of resistance. Even though we didn't hit it, we are hitting some levels below, but we are coming up to a key level resistance, putting in that higher high on price, putting in that lower high on our momentum waves, letting us know that price is moving up, but momentum is leaving. And money flow on the lower time frames is exiting the asset. Kind of makes you think like, hey, this thing might come down a little bit. Now, it doesn't mean it's 100% going to come down, but typically these indications will give you some form of a move down, or at least show itself in the form of some sideways consolidation before getting another move to the upside. So as far as just parabolic rips to the upside, I do think it's at least time to consolidate a little bit, or even or even get a little bit of a cool off to come down and test some of these lower levels that we just broke out of. Because as you guys know, price does like to break out. A lot of people like to say price likes to revisit the scene of a crime. And what they mean by that is just that price will come back down to that breakout level, test it as support, and then get a bigger move up. However, we did kind of get a test there, so that may not be the case. But if we do cool off, some of those key levels to the downside that I would be looking at, guys, is going to be that previous value area high at about $30,315. That would likely act as support. And then if we were able to break below that level, we may be able to make it back down towards our POC. And then again, that becomes our actual key level, just in the same way that it was a key level here, because we knew if we held it as support, we would get that move up to 31K. If we come back down to that POC, this would become a very, very, very important level again, because what this does is, just like this POC was kind of the doorway to that value area high at 31K, the POC to the downside will become the doorway to the value area low, which is coming in at 28.8K. So if we do come down, we could play around on this point of control a little bit. We may kind of just range around, but if we decisively lose that POC, that's where you may get that quick move down to about that 28.8K level, which would be still a pretty healthy pullback, in my opinion, to come back and test the highs from another previous range that we were in for about 20 days. We were in this range for quite some time, really just hitting our head on these highs, but it would make a lot of sense if we were to come down, break that POC, get a move down to the value area low. We may get some wicks down to test that previous range high, and I would expect this to act as some pretty strong support, because if you pull up your visible range volume profile, you can see below our POC up here, you could see, I know it's a little bit hard because of the colors, but there is a big volume gap down here. So again, if you break that POC, you may get a quick move down through that volume gap, and then you may start hitting your head on that big high volume node down here. So if we don't hold the POC, I would expect this value area low and previous value area high to maintain support for us for a potential another move back up to the top of the range. And then maybe that's where we get the break out of that value area high, and where we could potentially come up to some of these higher levels between about $32,360 and about $33,000, which would be really exciting. But again, with that 4-hour bear div, on top of the fact that we also have our daily VWAP coming down towards that zero line, I'll be honest, I thought we would probably get a red dot here yesterday, but we wound up not getting it because we got that big pump to the upside. But that 4-hour bear div with money flow coming out on the lower time frames, as well as that red dot on the daily, would kind of hint to me, as far as the technicals go, that we may get some form of a small cool off, or maybe even a bigger correction, but it would kind of call for more of a cool off before absolutely ripping to the upside. But as you guys know, in these extreme parabolic bullish movements like this one that we're having right now, sometimes those bearish setups can be a little bit weaker than they typically are. So I will say this, I am being much more greedy with my longs and much more conservative with my shorts, because you want to remember, back to basics, guys, the trend is your friend until the end, and right now the trend is up. So don't be fighting the bulls too hard. I mean, go for the scalp shorts, but don't be fighting them too hard, betting the farm on these crazy try to catch the top shorts. So with all that being said, guys, I think that's all the time I got for today's market update. So just be careful with some of those bearish signals calling for a small pullback. But other than that, guys, in the longer term, although the higher time frames are a little bit overbought, even if those decide to cool off, I am still leaning bullish in the long term, eventually looking up towards some much higher targets around that 33, 34, and even 40K levels. But we're still kind of far away from that, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. So with all that being said, guys, that's all the time I got for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Frankie Candles out.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like